gentlemen, welcome to another photo critique. This is the January assignment photo critique. The assignment was new, N-E-W. You know, kind of fitting, start of the new year. I'm Toby.
And I'm Christina.
And we have just narrowed down from about 18, as you can see there, it says 6 of 18 if you're paying careful attention. And if you want to watch us narrow this down, stay tuned at the end of this. We'll throw that in there. Christina feels like she had to put the hammer down.
Well, I always have to put the hammer down, just people don't have to listen to me do it.
That's true, that's true. But I think you were very nice, fair and balanced. And I was going to make a joke about Fox News, but I won't make a joke about fair and balanced.
You shouldn't.
You should.
Just
okay.
now, stop talking.
Except for critiquing. So these are the pictures we have, and we are going to now work through this critique. But before I forget to remind you, it is now February, and your February assignment, February, is shadow play.
Okay.
You can interpret that as how you wish. Some of you interpreted new rather loosely, and thus your picture is now not getting critiqued.
Can I add a comment
please,
to that?
Please.
So one of the things, I had completely forgotten about the assignment theme, and then I was reminded by it. If you watch to the end, you'll see. And then I realized that many of the pictures, one, did not really meet that theme, and then two, in order to really be able to tell that it was within the theme, you had to read the name of the photo. And so going forward, I mean, we stuck to it pretty closely for this one, but just know that the pictures that will make it are ones where you can clearly see in the photo, without having to read the title of the image or the name of the image, the theme of the photo. You can tell by just looking at the picture. Those are the ones that we're gonna look to critique. Because it's, I mean, while these are very broad themes, we are trying to go in a more conceptual direction to get you guys kind of thinking a little bit more outside the box and things like that. So, without further ado, do we want to begin?
We do want to begin.
Great.
So here we go. We've got our first shot here by Strazy Bullet. I'm just going to pretend that's your real name, because you are supposed to put your name as part of this image. And you sent in a raw file, though. Thank you for that. I love the colors of this, and I certainly feel the newness in it.
Yes.
We've got these tiny little fungi mushrooms just coming up out of the pine cones. They look brand new, pristine, glistening, and all of the ways that fungi are.
It looks like it's in a set, which is kind of interesting. It's not a bad thing. It just kind of...
like almost a terrarium or something?
Yeah, maybe it is.
They're all the rage these days. I don't think so. I think it's natural.
Okay.
Yep. But love the colors, love the fact that it hit new for us. But my eye is immediately drawn to the center of the frame, lower third, out of focus mushrooms.
Yeah.
And this is something I've talked about on critiques before that I personally have struggled with and still find myself doing sometime, and that is allowing too much foreground to be in the image, especially out of focus foreground. Now, down here, this is okay. This is kind of soft, setting the stage for what we're seeing back here. The depth of field there is fine, but this pine cone with those mushrooms being very out of focus in front of this stuff, because it's up a little bit higher, is very distracting.
Right. So our eyes, when we look at an image, we want to sort of try to make sense of what's going on. And so we oftentimes do it in a very organized way. One of the things that our eyes look towards first is, you know, high contrast. So if you have lots of white or really bright spots in an image, or lots of really dark spots in an image, in this case, because all of these colors kind of blend well together, and the color that kind of stands out the most is the white one, and this is supposed to be the thing that's closest to the image, so the first thing that we're going to look at, and it's soft. Our brain wants to sort of be able to see more of the detail on this, and it can't, so it becomes a really distracting element instead of aiding to the, which is essentially what you said. So I struggle, well, I wouldn't say I struggle, but I've been burned by this, by not being more careful and really watching my foreground and making sure that there are important elements in the foreground that should be in focus. So the only way that I would fix this is by going back to the image and then, you know, either retaking it or look through other images. Maybe you have one where that piece is in focus. So one thing that you might want to do here going forward or in the future, because it is, I just want to see it was shot at f6, huh?
F5.6, yeah.
F5.6.
At 300 millimeters. So I just want to point out how shallow a depth of field
Yes.
you can get on longer focal lengths.
Yeah, I mean, we've got like a couple centimeters in focus, if that. I just, you could have stopped down a lot more, because it would have been nice if maybe all of these things were in focus and you would still have had a nice soft background and probably some isolation in the foreground as well. So I would just stop down when you have this situation when you're zoomed in at 300 and you're taking a photo of something that is very delicate, very small. I would stop down a little bit more and try to get more of it, or just focus on the foreground. But I do think that if you had just focused on the foreground and the rest of the mushrooms were out of focus, it would still just kind of be like not as strong of an image.
Yep.
So that being said, really nice colors. I love the composition. I love that you have some of the ferns in the background. You can still see some of them. And you've got the little moss down here and the pine cones. It's a really nice image. I would still, you know. One more thing I would do. I'm sorry, I know you were just about to say something. I would sharpen this a lot more. It looks like it needs probably a little bit of clarity and definitely significant amount of sharpening.
Yeah. So come in here. We can pop in a little bit of clarity, and then we come down to the sharpening. And you like somewhere around 50-ish? Is that what you think? And then a 1.2 to the radius. And then I've been taking the detail up to about 30, 35. Nice. I would have tried something here that I call pre-processing, and that is maybe to look at my shot in the field after I've taken it and decide to pick this up and gently set it to the side, take another shot, and then put it back. That's another way to get a better, cleaner scene, is to move things around.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Strazy Bullet or something like that. Now we've moved on from a lush green mushroom forest to winter bud from Mike. Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yes.
This, I think, exemplifies that very nicely.
It does. Yeah, I mean, you know, you're clearly using the rule of thirds to frame the bud, and lots of positive and negative, both space and then also
lots of negative space.
Right. Yeah, lots of negative space, but also I guess what would you call it? Gosh, I've got the word on the tip of my tongue and I can't say it, but just lots of black. I guess a black and white, or no, not balance. Okay. I wouldn't say there is balance in this photo in terms of color, because there's a lot of black and just a little bit of white. My only issue with this image is that it doesn't span along the entire frame.
You'd like to see it further out?
I would, or okay. I would like to see a vertical crop. But yeah, I think it works all right, but this does feels like dead space to me, a little too much, more than negative space.
Okay.
So,
yep.
But you know, it's different. This image is different, and I do like it for that, because it's right. You know, it's very different. So.
I agree. I do as well like it, and I wouldn't want to see it printed like this, though, and I think that's what you're feeling. I think printed on the wall, it would feel funny. And why is it okay then for me to look at it here digitally and be more okay with it? I'm not sure, truthfully. But I'd like to see it cropped in a little bit more as well. I think an Instagram crop might be good here too. And it seems like you have enough depth of field. It'd be nice if the stick was, the twig leading up to the bud would be sharper all the way along it. But other than that, I think this is nice and new, a bud. So, thank you, Mike. Moving on To the baby Jesus we can't say no to. Luke has this picture. Another T4i.
Cool. Well, I think this image is nice. I like the bokeh. The bokeh is kind of cool, and I also really like the highlights on the
Wise men.
wise man.
One of the wise mans.
Oh well, all of them. I mean,
All of
this
them have.
one's kind of
Sure.
it's hugging his face, and
Oh,
then
yeah. Yep.
back here and back here.
Which that's
and
very
even
much
there,
something like that is nice in many portraits of people as well, correct?
Right, yeah. So
it really
it's
kind of pulls them away from the background. It gives the image a three-dimensionality.
yeah. I like the composition. I don't feel like there's any dead space around. I think if you look closely, you can see right here and right here that there's some serious chromatic aberration that you can correct for. And that I think would be the only change I would make. Otherwise I like I like, I guess, the brightness of it. It feels kind of dark to me, but it's nice. And I like the bokeh, and I like, everything else about the picture.
Okay. Now, we gave Strazy Bullet with his fungi out of focus a lot of grief for that. And we've got one of the wise men right here out of focus. Any differences in how you feel?
Not really. No, I mean, how I feel about... No, I mean...
Does it bother you as much as the fungus?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I do feel like my eye really does want to know what's going on in the foreground there. So I feel like you could have gotten away with some bokeh still and the same kind of image if you just stopped down a little bit more. So yeah, and the baby Jesus is also kind of soft.
Well, he's a baby. Babies are soft.
Ha ha ha. Hilarious.
I don't see what lens this was taken with over here, but I'm going to guess something like the 51.8, especially with that amount of chromatic aberration we have. Now, Christina mentioned that you can get rid of some of that stuff, and you come in here and you can enable profile correction. Usually, if the information is written into the metadata, it will know automatically that it is, and it's, let's just pick. The list is very short because it's confused, I think. And we can go into color, and we can go in here to defringing amount, and it can get rid of some of that purple that's in there. And you can even, we can even check this little box here, and maybe it's a little bit better. We're working with a JPEG, but these tools are fairly powerful in correcting a lot of issues with cheaper lenses, and even some more expensive when shot in challenging conditions. So I agree with everything you said. This bothers me a little bit less than the fungus because it's off to the side, and I'm really drawn to this guy looking down at the baby. Really feels like the center of both focus and subject, and that makes the image a little bit stronger, but I would like to see that a little more in focus. Good. Let's just for fun real quick, what does it look like as a black and white? It's very dark.
Yeah,
does
I don't
not
love it as a
hold
black
up
and white.
the same. And we can bring those shadows up, but no, I like the color. Okay.
Now you brought all the shadows up.
Well, we're skipping on and going to, wait a second, these are both from Luke. Uh-oh. Luke, we weren't paying attention. We will go grab a different one and bring it in, because that's not fair. Let's move on to this one, which I immediately think new. These little fluffy seeds are packed with new life and are going to float off and make their own new plant somewhere. So that works for me. Beyond that, it's a nice picture. I like that there is spacing between this part of the subject and the background. Again, we've been talking about that kind of positive and negative space there, and separation as well works. It's definitely a little busy back here.
So I mean, this picture is nice. When you look at it, you can really see the depth, and you can see a lot of detail, and the colors are really pleasant to look at, and it's pretty. But I mean, I think the reason that we are struggling with coming up, or the reason that we're struggling in coming up with things to say is that we have seen images like this one be submitted before, and we have given a lot of the same feedback that we're giving right now. I mean, in essence, background's a little bit too soft because there's too many of the same kind of shapes and patterns all the way back in the background, and then in the middle ground, and then in the foreground, etc., etc. And so it is a nice image. I just don't, I don't have a ton of feedback. I think if we had had a lot more to choose from in terms of people sticking with being more obvious about the theme in the photos, I don't know that this would have made it, not because it's not a great image or it's a nice image or pretty to look at, but because I feel like we don't have a ton of feedback to give to it.
Right. I think this image could benefit from really kind of isolating one of these seed pods. Shooting with a full frame camera at 40 millimeters, that's fairly wide. I'm not going to call it wide, but that's fairly wide. You could zoom in. You're shooting with a 24-70. I think you could zoom in up above 50. Also open that aperture up a little bit wider to kind of isolate one of those seed pods just a little bit more. And I think that would make a stronger image. This also might be a neat black and white image. There's a lot of texture in these pod bits, and then of course the fluffiness, those two things working together could make a neat image. All right, thank you, Jean.
And actually, I have one more suggestion. How about like approaching a similar scene again and trying to take an abstract image? Like you just did something just now where you zoomed in, and something like, I don't know, something like that with. Hang on. I'm trying to make a little bit more room here, but I'm not. Something.
Just avoid cutting off the tip, you're saying.
Right, like
don't
don't cut off the ends, but something like this where it's like really close, or closing in even further on just like these parts, and trying to create an kind of abstract type image using that, and maybe turning it into a black and white. That would be really cool. But again, I mean, it's a nice image. I just don't have a lot to say about it.
Okay, thank you, Jean. And we've got Arlene's breakfast. And again, if you watch in a few more minutes when we work through here, an egg, new. Breakfast, new. Morning, new. Those things work to me. And so it wasn't too difficult to say this is one of the ones. I really like the light here.
I do too.
It feels very clean.
Yeah.
Very nice. I also like the framing. Now, I think, again, this is something where if I'd shot this 2-3 years ago, I probably would have tried to be wide and make sure that none of the bits of the plates got chopped off. I tried to include all of that. But since looking at my own work, looking at your work, looking at other photographers I admire, especially for plated things like this, it's fine to cut the edges off.
Yeah.
The subject is all right there.
It's okay as long as where the cropping happens is intentional.
Yes. Right. Feels intentional.
Or it feels intentional.
That's right.
Right. Yep. So you could do this by accident, or you could do it intentionally. If you work yourself, or just grow to have an eye for that sort of thing. One piece of feedback, I really like the light. I like the way that this stuff is arranged, with the exception of the salt shaker. I think I would move the salt shaker down here just to fill up this dead space, and then maybe push the knife up just a tiny bit. I mean, just to get super nitpicky. But otherwise, I mean, I like it. I even like the angle, even though it's not like straight down. I think it's really nice. You also could have cut off a little bit more from the plate, but not so much of the toast, just to get a little breathing room up here. But then that would have, changed where you crop this. So, but I mean, it's really nice. I like it a lot. But yeah, the salt shaker, I think, would be a big improvement.
There must have been a lot of light here because you were shooting at f11, 1/200th of a second. You could have come down a little bit, but
I mean, why? If you've got it, they got a good image.
That's true. Yeah. Great. Now we got to go dig one out of the archives. Thanks a lot, Luke.
I know which one. The one that we cut out because.
Which one?
We had too many. The construction one.
Oh, Tony's.
Yeah.
Okay. So Now our 6th image is Tony's construction nighttime scene. Now your comment we'll hear in a few minutes is that we've done a fair number of kind of night and reflection in water shots. The newness here is a new building going up over there, and I felt like that without reading the file name or the caption, so I got that. It feels a little tilted to me.
It does to me too. I will say, well, you can see, so it's a long exposure because you can see some movement in the water. But also, you know, I might, while we wait for that to crop.
The computer's being so speedy.
You know, I would crop a little bit down here too, because there's no need really to include too much of the
sky
left side of the image.
And okay.
Yeah, I mean, I might crop it to look like that, and that way we've got this being very strong on the top third. You know, a little bit more. I mean, you can see. Hopefully, you can see when I do this how this part becomes much more of a focal point than it was before. Like before, it was just a thing in the middle, and now it's like a thing that you look at, and it's more prominent in the photo. It's even bigger in the frame. So, and it is something that you want to highlight because the theme of the image is new, and this is the item that's, you know, being built, or these cranes are helping with the building of this building.
With the construction of this building.
Too redundant here. But yeah, I mean, you can still see the water moving. You can still see some sky, but you know, you don't really need to see this much bridge, and you don't really need to see a ton of water. Just a little hint of it, as long as you're really highlighting the focus of the image.
Yep, I agree, and I think you, Tony, did a nice shutter speed here that got the water just enough blurry, but the wow, 25 seconds. Actually, you couldn't have gone much longer. You could have gone. A little shorter, maybe. Just saying we got some blurry seagulls down there, but it's not a big deal. I like the kind of contrast here of this kind of peaceful suburban grassiness. Maybe that's a boathouse or something. And then big sky rises going up over here in this big glass structure. So I like that.
There's nice leading lines too, I think, coming from, you know, the side, the curve.
Yep.
Up there. Yeah. So that stuff's all really nice.
Yeah, it does. So the lighting's a little all over the place.
But it is usually with night photography. Yeah. It's why I don't love night photography in general, or why I'm not like naturally drawn to it, why I don't do it that much, because it's really hard to get just nice, even lighting. Because there's just all the different colors of light that you can get are just all over the place.
All over the place, yep. Okay. Great. So as I said several times, stay tuned if you want to watch how we arrived at picking these. You just got a quick taste of it. And a reminder, in February, link right down below this video is a place to submit. So bookmark that because you're probably not ready to submit yet, but maybe some of you are, like Rich out there. I know he submitted already. He wants to know if he's won any prize. No, not yet. And thank you everybody who submitted. There will be a submission reminder coming out in the next couple of days for general critique. And those people who got rejected that we clearly couldn't tell knew, feel free to resubmit. I can't guarantee critiques because more come in, but please resubmit and we'll do our best. Thank you so much everybody for listening, watching, commenting, hitting the thumbs up button. And if you really appreciate what we're doing here, take a moment to pop over to the Patreon page and support us with a little bit of money that then gets you some extra perks. All right, so we're actually just sitting down with these images for the first time. I've quickly glanced through and deleted any duplicates that weren't supposed to be duplicates. And now Christina is sitting down with me, and we're going to pick 6 out of this group to critique. And hopefully in this quick process here, you're going to get a sense for why aren't we choosing some of these. And we're going to work back and forth probably through this to narrow it down to those 6. So we've got this one right here. And I see a person and
I'd say keep it for now.
dog. Okay, we're going to keep it, so we're going to give it a 1 star. And then we have...
Sure, keep it for now. Can we
Okay.
just like do a pass of all of them?
Yeah,
before...
let's do a pass of all of them.
Okay.
I say keep. This one...
Can we just look at all of them?
Okay, we're going to just look at all of them. Sorry, I had done that. And then Corey's got treated and untreated.
Oh.
He's okay. That chick was okay.
Well, how do you know?
I can tell. I can tell these things.
No, you can't.
Okay, that's what we're working with. We're working with 20 photos, which is actually 18 because we've got 2 of the bat and we've got 2 of Corey's young boys who want peace.
Well, let's get rid of the unretouched ones.
Okay.
Very quickly.
So I'm going to just... It's not totally clear to me. Well, this is version 2, so I think we're going to take that one. So we're going to reject that one. And so real quick, just going to go to photo and say delete rejected photos. And we're actually just going to remove them from the catalog. They're still in the folder. Okay.
I'd say keep for now.
Okay. Let's move it to 2 stars. Problem with this one is, well, I think we have to assume that it is a sunrise, but we don't have a lot of information to go on here that tells us that it is. And
pause. I need to adjust my chair. Also, we're not going to talk about these because that would be doing the critique. We're going to say yes or no. And quick thoughts on why yes or no.
Okay. Start again.
Yep.
So you say keep for now?
Yep.
Okay. This one I'm inclined to get rid of because I don't feel like there's anything new about it.
Okay.
Okay.
And then do you want to sort? Do you want to like...
Well, I didn't 1 star all of them.
I see. Do you want to do that now?
Okay.
Just Command A and then, or do that.
I like to do that because it bothers you. Okay. So that one's got nothing. And I say keep.
For now, sure. I say keep for now. Because I think there's helpful feedback to give on this one.
I see nothing that does with new.
I don't see anything new, but I can see why somebody might learn from looking at this.
This assignment was new. If they want to resubmit it to our general critique, they are welcome to.
I understand.
Okay.
This doesn't seem new. This seems very, very old.
It does.
Okay, so no.
Okay.
I also don't see what's new about this.
New passion for peace and justice.
Sounds like you just made something up.
Let's keep it for...
Is there first timers?
The first time they're marching for peace and justice.
All right, sure.
Okay.
It's got to be a little bit clearer, though. Like, we have to be able to tell what the image or what the new is in the image without reading the title.
Whoopsie. That happened before. Okay. It's doing that jumping thing again. Okay.
Also can't tell what's new about this
We
one.
can't. That's quite a nice picture. Almost looks like it could be Times Square on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, but
you know, we don't know that for sure. No, it was taken on December 12th.
Okay, so no.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. No.
New Rose? Yeah, I don't.
No. Plus, it's an image that we've received over and over and over again. Not that particular image, but just that kind of image.
Gotcha. A new baby Jesus.
All right, sure.
Can't say no to baby Jesus. Not yet, at least. A new building going up.
Is that what this is?
Yes.
Sure.
I mean, I got that, you know, when I looked at it, I thought that before I looked over at the caption. So I thought, new life.
Is that baby chick healthy?
Sure.
Because if it's not healthy, I don't want to look at it.
It's healthy.
That makes me really sad.
I mean, it just came out of the egg. They look pretty rough. Do you remember the summer at the farm?
I don't.
Okay.
All right.
New bottle of pills. sealed for your protection.
I'm gonna say no to this one.
There is something to work with there for the new assignment.
I mean, the theme is there,
Rich,
but
you did a lot of work with it. But we'll get you in February because I know you've submitted already. A bat.
I also don't see what's new about this bat.
I don't either. I'm seeing if there's a baby clinging to it or anything. And I don't, so it's going. Seeds,
Sure.
new life.
Yeah.
Sure. An old mine, a new tripod, a new hobby.
Again, it's got to be obvious in the photo.
I would like this to be a sunrise. Again, I come back to that.
Yeah,
So
no.
Jeff won the tripod, but he doesn't get a critique today.
Again, I'm not seeing what's new.
Don't see anything here, Cheryl.
This is kind of old, actually.
No, it's kind of an older building, but it's not a bad shot. And now, related to the chicken, we've got an egg. New breakfast. This looks nice.
New breakfast?
Well,
it's a newly cracked egg, I guess.
Newly cracked egg, new start to the day.
All right.
What are we down to? We're down to 9, so we got to get 3 more out of here.
All right. So let's go back to the first one.
Mm-hmm.
What's new about this one?
It's a new friend.
No.
Oh, the dog. The dog's a new friend.
Yeah, but we don't know that from the photo. I'm sorry. I'm being super mean. I know.
No, you're not. You're not being super mean. I'll just say I like this picture, but it's going out for new. This one's staying.
Yep.
For now. We got 8. Is that what we got? 2, 4, 6, 8.
I'm gonna say no because it's just not clear by just looking at the picture.
Okay. Submit to the general critique, and we'll do the best we can, although that gets much more crowded. So I think some people, well, I did say this, I said participate in this assignment because not as many people participate. We have lots less pictures to pick from. We got to get rid of one more. I'm leaning towards this one.
I kind of am
We've talked about some nighttime shots. This isn't a bad shot, but it's not. It's a stretch to feel new to me.
Okay, here's what I have to say about this. I don't really have a ton of feedback to give to this picture because it's a nice picture and we've seen similar pictures before. So, I'm gonna say no to this one.
Okay, there we go. We've got our 6. Thanks. Goodbye.
Goodbye.